Well, everyone, I recently got sent this blog post by Aaron Reed, a very popular transgender rights activist on Twitter, and it looks really interesting to me. And the headline in particular really caught my eyes because of the setting, or I guess the platform, that the poll it's referencing was hosted on, and how surprising the results are. But honestly, at the same time, it's almost not surprising, and I'll explain why. Fox News poll, 86% say political attacks on trans kids are a problem. Anti-trans politics are woefully unpopular. Focusing on anti-trans legislation and political messaging may sink the GOP in 2024. This is what we've been saying for a while now. As popular as this anti-trans shit may be online, and as, fervent as the transphobia may be on the internet, that's, basically motivating people to push and fund all this content online, in the real world, it is not that popular. A lot of people are weirded out and grossed out by trans people, but they are not genocidally hate-filled towards them. It's just they're put off by the obsession these demagogues have towards these trans people. It just seems weird to them. Over the past year, there have been clear indications that anti-trans politics do not resonate with the majority of the electorate. During legislative hearings, few individuals voice support for bills targeting transgender youth, while opposition consistently floods the proceedings. The 2022 elections echoed this sentiment, as candidates and state parties that directed their campaign spending towards anti-trans attack ads experienced resounding losses in most instances. This is very true. Polls have consistently shown that the majority of people oppose legislation seeking to ban trans-affirming care for transgender youth. A recent Fox News poll employing a unique framing of the question sheds light on precisely why these political attacks fail to secure victories. The survey reveals that 86% of respondents consider politically motivated attacks on trans kids to be a problem, with 57% characterizing these attacks as a major problem. This data underscores the growing consensus that targeting transgender youth is not a winning political strategy. See the top lines of the poll here. So here's the question. In general, how much of a problem is each of the following: a major problem, a minor problem, or not the problem? Families with transgender children being targets of political attacks. Major problem, 57%. Minor problem, 26%. Not a problem, 15%. Don't know, 3%. That's pretty resounding. This result is stunning. Although numerous surveys have explored personal opinions on transgender policies concerning sports, healthcare, and education, few polls have delved into public sentiment about the broad wave of legislation itself that targets transgender individuals. This Fox News poll shows that while polls may vary on individual topics and wording, overall, the American public is increasingly growing alarmed at anti-trans legislation and politics. This trend may well portend disaster for a Republican Party that has seemingly succumbed to the influence of the far right and fervently pursued anti-transgender policies. This would be a bad enough result for the organizations that are pushing these policies and the candidates campaigning on them. However, another finding in this poll exacerbates the perils associated with pursuing anti-transgender policies. Out of all the issues that matter to the American populace, transgender-related concerns ranked tied at the very bottom. People care more about the economy and jobs, inflation and cost of living, gun control, gun violence, political division, political extremism, preservation of democracy, political leadership, corruption, national security, foreign policy, immigration, border security, climate change, environmentalism, crime, public safety, racism, race issues, abortion, homelessness, poverty, healthcare. Wokeness and transgender issues are the bottom of the list below all of that. The only things people find more boring are government spending, national debt, deficit, social security, seniors, coronavirus, pandemic, vaccines, and that's it. Those are the only topics people find boring enough at this point that they're below wokeness and trans issues. It's just no one gives a shit. Outside of the conservative, culture war, internet media sphere, and Tucker Carlson's ratings, no one actually cares. And honestly, I'm willing to bet most of the ratings of Tucker Carlson's shows when he's just ranting about trans people, it's background noise. I'm willing to bet most of the viewers of that content don't really care and just kind of tune out during that topic and probably just listen to him as background noise while they're cooking or eating or working on their computer or, like, doing whatever they do. Like, I'm almost certain, even among Tucker's audience, it's just background noise kept on the TV, because, like, Tucker Carlson viewers basically just always have Tucker on no matter what he's talking about. It doesn't mean they're, actively agreeing with and absorbing everything he says. Many are, but there are quite a few that are not. Taken together, these poll results suggest a potentially calamitous storm brewing for the Republican Party. Currently, over 515 anti-transgender bills are being proposed or passed in state legislatures throughout the United States, spurred by organizations such as the American Principles Project and the Alliance Defending Freedom. Hey! Remember me shitting the fuck on that hate group a while ago? Look up Xander Hall, Alliance Defending Freedom, and look at me like 3 years ago dunking on that organization. The GOP has adopted this issue as its primary focus. Many Republican lawmakers seem unable to go a single day without discussing it, while Freedom Caucus social media accounts incessantly emphasize anti-transgender politics. It is highly likely that a barrage of anti-transgender attack ads will inundate television screens during the 2024 general election, just as they did in 2022. The chasm between the public's concerns regarding transgender issues and the Republican Party's actions could not be more profound. In 2022, the American Principles Project invested $50 million in anti-transgender attack ads. Candidates across numerous states campaigned on anti-transgender issues. For example, in Georgia, Herschel Walker was joined by anti-transgender swimmer Riley Gaines in the final weeks of the campaign to attack Senator Warnock. In Arizona, Kari Lake focused on Katie Hobbs' husband's support for transgender teens during the closing weeks of her campaign. Michigan witnessed millions of dollars spent on anti-transgender ads, while in Wisconsin, advertisements promoting the Republican Supreme Court candidate inundated the state due to the Democratic candidate's support for trans individuals. One common thread connects all of these races. Republicans suffered resounding defeats. Unable to capitalize on anti-transgender messaging, they seem increasingly eager to embrace this year. Moving forward, it seems like the strategy the Republican Party seems unable or unwilling to back off of may backfire in a tremendous fashion. In the meantime, Democrats seem completely unwilling to cede any ground. A poll like this means they are even less likely to do so in the future. Most Americans are grillers. They do not want to have politics shoved down their throat. The reason why the right oftentimes has the ability to convince the normies that the left is actually the militant authoritarian ones is when they're able to weaponize certain instances of the left being cringe, or just one single lefty being cringe or whatever, and sort of mascot-ifying that person. A very good example of this is the red-haired ranting feminist triggered lady. Or not red-haired, red shirt. Obviously the red-haired one too. But the red shirt triggered lady is actually an even better example of this, because the original video is perfectly perfectly.
No, not even.
It is perfectly like God damn. It is perfectly exemplary of what I'm talking about here. They try to make a caricature of the left. Desperately, they try to make a caricature of the left to push this idea the left is pushing politics down their throat, but in reality, they're not. The right are the ones that are actively fighting tooth and nail to convince you that people who are just trying to live their lives need to be genocided and you need to take action against them. That is truly pushing politics down people's throat. My favorite example of this, mascotifying of a lefty to try to push this idea is the classic triggered feminist face meme. The information you are about to learn is genuinely going to blow a shit ton of your minds. See this lady? I bet you've seen this woman used in anti-SJW thumbnails and like feminist rec compilations for over half a decade now. You are not going to believe what the context of this screenshot is. I want you to imagine what that woman like would sound and look like in motion and sound based on that one image and how she is presented there. Now I want you to watch the actual video that screenshot comes from.
My parents are immigrants. My fucking parents are immigrants. No, not even a fucking big percentage. Tiny.
You know how many women in the U.S.
get raped? Do you know how many?
One in every 3 women.
Fuck ton, a
That
fuck
means
ton.
that all Americans.
That's a crisis. There's a rape crisis. Exactly.
Yeah.
So she's not triggered. She's not yelling. She hit him with a gotcha. She just has her voice raised to be able to be heard. It's literally just her expressiveness in her face, and they clip-chimped her, making a funny face, and turned her into a mascot. And not only that, I didn't include it in the clip, but the guy that she's talking to right now literally just screamed at like seconds before, all of the Mexican immigrants coming over the border are rapists and murderers. And her response was, but a certain percentage of Americans rape as well, so wouldn't that mean all Americans are rapists? That was her response. And she wasn't even mad as she said it. She has a smile on her face. Look, I paused at his face there. Look, see, look how triggered she looks, right? And, like, literally, that's all they did. Like, the ultimate clip chimp. Not even a audio and like, visual clip chimp. A image. Because if you included any context, she wouldn't look bad. The right's entire, idea of what the left is a smokescreen. It doesn't exist. What the left claims we are isn't real. And most people, over time, start to see through it. This trend of the anti-trans rhetoric and policy not helping the right, but instead hurting it, is only going to continue. It's just as simple as that. It is only going to continue. And I think that's a nice little silver lining. A little bit of hopium.